Hey everyone, welcome to Colourisma. It wouldn't be a Colourisma if it wasn't me scrambling at the last minute to try to get this all set up. So, welcome. So, today we are going to be discussing breaking old habits. And in that, I mean the habits that we have tried to establish for this year, the new year, New Year's resolutions, whether they're art related or personal. We have them. We always make them. We always want to make them. Even if you're not one for starting the new year with these habits, hopefully, or like goals or resolutions or whatever you want to call them. Um, Hopefully, throughout the year, this is something that you do, or just some point in your life you want to improve and grow and develop as a person. So, fingers crossed on that. But that said, one of the things that happens is that about this time, let's see, it is, what day is it? I don't even know. January 19th. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's about the time when this kind of thing starts to fall apart and we get back into the old habits, the things that we've been doing forever. And, it's an easy thing to do to end up having the old patterns just come right back. And with that, I just wanted to take the time to discuss that kind of today, why that happens, what we can do about it, and if you even want to do anything about it. So let me get set up here. One of the things I was fiddling with was the normal way I broadcast, me here and then me here drawing. Wasn't working. So we're going to do this split screen. Hopefully that's okay. I thought it didn't look too terrible, so I got to pull my sleeves up here to get some work done. But yeah, so I decided kind of two birds, one stone sort of deal, and maybe something moving forward, something I'll do moving forward as far as like working on the comic while I do my Colourisma show. So, and that actually is kind of one of the things I was wanting to talk about was last time I had a episode and it was all about developing a schedule and the pros and cons of that and all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah. I definitely kind of figured out that that schedule was either too ambitious for me or just not a great schedule for the way I do things. So that's another thing I want to discuss. So let me get set up here with a new layer. There we go. And then I'm going to actually move that down a little bit. I adjusted my setup last night, so still finicking around, being finicky about the setup and everything. And my computer's deciding that I'm very old today and I don't want to work. And all these little things are just hanging down and just getting in my way of trying to draw. It's just something, y'all. But yeah, so get my drawing hand free of obstruction. It's harder than it looks. And now I gotta reset that. Okay. One of these days I'll actually be able to get started. So if you're just now joining me, today we are going to be discussing, wow, my computer is really not having this. Oh boy. Okay. This is interesting. I guess I haven't done this while streaming before. I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I don't know why I thought that. Has it ever been okay in the past? But we might have come to an issue. We're having a little issue, me and my computer here. We're like, buddy, do you want to work? And it says no, I do not. Let me make sure all the things. Yeah, basically everything is closed, so I don't know why it's being so difficult. One other app I can close. I'm trying to close it now. Go away, animation paper. I love you, but not right now. I don't know why it's being difficult. I don't know why any of this is being difficult. And that's just, something else to deal with as far as realizing part of the thing is that old habits happen a lot of the times because stuff doesn't change. I did get a new drawing tablet, but I did not get a new computer. So it's understandable that the things are going to be, okay, it just doesn't want to exit now. That's fun. It's going to be understandable that things are, oh man, it's so frustrating. Okay. But yeah, it's going to make sense that it's acting like this because I didn't upgrade the computer. So I'm trying to do the same thing, expecting different results. And I think that is a part of the bad habits where we tend to think that, oh, this time it'll be different. This time we'll do it. This time, oh, wow. Okay. This time, this or that will happen. And it doesn't. And we get frustrated by that, case in point. But we have to do something different. Something has to change. And for me right now, I'm like trying to get every single app that can be closed to be closed. It's saving now, so I can. But yeah, so that's maybe number one is analyze, like, yes, you do want to change your habits, you do want to improve, you do want to grow, but are you giving yourself the best environment for doing that? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, finally. Okay. Let's try again. And did I test this before going live? No, of course not. Of course not. And is it working? No, not at all. It's not. Oh, that worked. The scribble worked. When I actually tried to draw a line, that didn't work. But the scribble, yeah, I was like, go for it. I guess I could close out more tabs. Wow. This is so fun. I know y'all love watching my computer problems live and in action. It's really awesome, I'm sure. Okay. Close that. Close that. And close that. If it won't work with all of these things closed, then I don't know. I might have to come up with a plan B on the fly. But yeah. So this is very distracting. I might just do a camera, like talking to the camera thing. And I was kind of debating a lot of things lately. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with a lot of things because I made the schedule that I made the last time I broadcasted, and it did not seem to work. It was way too complicated. It was way just very, very too much. It was too much. I overloaded my daily schedule, and I wasn't trying to be very schedule-y in the sense of like, I wasn't trying to have a nitpicky little minute by minute schedule. I was trying to keep it like vague and not vague, but I was trying to keep it open. So I had different things available at different times. Like if I had to go grocery shopping one day, it wouldn't totally derail the schedule because I accounted for the fact that everything, as long as it was done in the day, I wasn't caring too much about when it was done specifically. Yeah, and you're right. Part of this whole fiasco with trying to draw and talk at the same time is I am and again, this is a perfect example. Every day I do, it's Tuesday. I know it's Tuesday. I know it's, 3 o'clock that I do this. And I woke up at 10:30 today. And I thought that's plenty of time to get all this stuff done that I normally, am scrambling with at the very last minute. I didn't, make food until like noon, and then that took somehow an hour, and then I had to go talk to people about getting my propane fixed and refilled, and somehow that took another hour. I'm sure I'm obsessed with chess right now, so I've been playing chess like every like spare minute. I guess it's better than social media, but really it serves the same function in the sense that I'm still spending like 3 or 4 hours a day on chess, in and out of like other tasks. I'm just doing little chess matches with the computer. So that's where all my time's gone. It's doing a bunch of fiddly stuff that doesn't really amount to much. So of course 2 o'clock rolls around. I have an hour. I haven't made any posts yet. So I have to scramble for the Instagram post, the TikTok post, cross post that to Twitter, and all this, right? And then it's like 10 minutes till I launch, and I'm just expecting, I need it all to just work flawlessly, right? Like that's what I need to have happen. And of course it doesn't. So I spend the first 5 to 10 minutes fiddling with it, finally go live, and then it still doesn't even work. So it's one of those things where I keep doing the same thing, and I think it's for a good reason. A lot of people tell me to not be too hard on myself, and it's not that I'm too hard on myself. It's that I need to work on my priorities, because my initial priority is I don't want to feel rushed. But then I think I need to think about it again, and think, okay, I don't want to feel rushed in the sense of like getting up and getting food and getting ready, but I also don't want this. Like, this needs to turn into the new priority for me to fix. And in order to do that, and now this is an old habit, this is something that I kind of always do. I always scramble at the last minute. I always get on time. Like, it's messy, but I am on time. But that's got to be something that I feel needs to be changed. And I need to reprioritize, maybe spacing things out throughout the day in such a way that it actually is going to prevent this. Whether that's do a test earlier in the day, like a little test run or whatever, then maybe that's what I can do. I'm going to try again. I'm always so hopeful. Maybe this time it'll work. And it doesn't. It's just a variety of things that I guess I could just close the computer and just go through the phone. That would probably work as well. But anyway, for now, we'll just go for this, I guess. But yeah, so that was one of the things that kind of brought me to today's episode. And last week I got frustrated because things weren't really changing on the front of Colourisma. But again, same pattern, right? Did I do anything to create a change? No, I didn't. And I was still frustrated by the results that I was seeing, even though it made perfect sense for these results to be what they are, because I keep not doing the thing. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where, I need to kind of think about the things that are frustrating to me and the solutions for those things. And I thought that's what I was doing the other day when I created that super complicated schedule. But the other thing you have to take into account is the fact of your abilities, and to overexert the schedule past and beyond your abilities is, again, just going to create frustration, because you're not going to do it. For whatever reason, either other people are kind of in your way and you can't do it, or, just your energy level, your creativity level. If you massively overestimate what it is that you need to get done, and the timeline for getting it done, then again, you're just going to really frustrate yourself. So I'm going to try something. I think I will try to just, I'm going to have to do air adjustments. Scary. Let's see. All right. Okay. If you can hear me, then I've moved over from the computer setup to just my phone, and we're going to try that. It should help immediately. I don't know what it is. I've tried live streaming from computers since 2009 or whenever they invented live streaming. And no matter if I got a brand new computer or not, it never worked. Oh, look, it's like magic. It just works. Um, so in this behavior the computer did just now, it's the same. It's a 2012, and it's done this ever since 2012. It's never been able to live stream, and I had like the MacBook Pro, the creme de la creme of the time. So I don't know. It's always something. The one thing I ever wanted to do is just like stream for a very long time now, and it always is not working. But anyway, to get to, the whole point of the thing. So I definitely tried very hard for a very long time to do, even like something like streaming. And I tried to get the materials that I thought that I needed and everything else. But, all that is kind of a side point because probably something I should have concentrated on more than just trying to do streaming, which I thought was going to end up getting this goal, but it never ended up doing, mostly because it doesn't work, is that I probably needed to focus on audience, right? Like what's the point of streaming if you don't really have anyone to stream to? So all this like energy and time and money dedicated toward getting better materials is kind of not really going to solve the core issue of actually getting the audience to stream too. So, and I'm kind of thinking out loud. I've been trying to do these more top of mind and not really concentrate too much on making a script because I found that really stressful to completely script out everything to so exactly. And I guess for right now and what's happening with this whole setup, I think it's important to be adaptable. And this is what I need to sit down and actually really think about my schedule. But for the time being, I basically just decided that the schedule I had wasn't great. And now I've been working on a solution. Like, all right, well, if the one that I did wasn't working, then what could work, or what, how else should I do it? I basically need like an ever flexible schedule because there's just, I never have the same day twice, and I that sounds silly to say, but every single day, even when it's supposedly all quote unquote under my control, something happens. Like suddenly, oh, I need to go to the store for this. Oh, something on my RV broke. Oh, something always happens. So I need to kind of have a schedule that can kind of be as flexible as my life actually is. And that's something that's just going to take time and probably real life experience, and there's not going to be too much I think I can actually plan for. I think it just has to be super flexible always. So that said, I feel like being on top of understanding how you feel about the things plan and the things you're trying to do and your resolutions and such, is going to help you a lot more for your schedule. Oh, hey, Christy. Thanks. I appreciate you being here. We're talking about how messed up my computer is. Well, I'm mostly complaining about it. But I figured it's like one of those life lesson things where, show through examples. When something isn't working, then switch it up, do something different, and this is the different. I'm actually working on my, I guess I haven't introduced this yet, but this is my new artist tablet. It's a random aside here, it's an artist XP pen artist 12. I don't know how, it's whatever, XP pen 12 thing. I got the pro one. It's got like this little dial thing here, in buttons. But yeah, it's been helping me a lot to work on such a old machine that has definitely issues. It's definitely helping me to focus, not really focus like, attention wise, but it's helped me actually want to draw, which has been a challenge in the past few months. But yes, so maybe I should have a little bit more of a plan than I have been, because I feel quite rambly today. But it's kind of like this chaotic energy that the universe keeps tossing at me. But yeah, so plans and all that mess. Yeah, yay for technology, exactly. Especially old technology. It's just not my friend. I try to befriend it, like a rabid squirrel, and it always bites me in the end. Um, but yeah, so breaking old habits. How am I going to go about doing that, right? So I've just discussed at length all my terrible habits and what, okay, so that's good. Identifying the habits are good, but also what are you going to do about it once you do that? So for me, I think I'm going to have to prioritize sitting around and waiting. I think another thing I don't like, that part of this is happening, is what happens is I tend to really hate the period of time when you're waiting for something, like when you're just sitting there and waiting for the clock to get to the time that it needs to be. For instance, I do not like someone picking me up and going somewhere, because the time period between when they say they're on the way and when they get there is the worst for me. I should be able to just ignore that and just, when they knock on the door is when they knock on the door or text or whatever. But instead, I just sit there and do nothing except for little silly things like continually checking email or social media until they get there. So, so hey, Greg, how's it going? Um, so yeah, it doesn't really work out for me too well to have that situation. So my solution is to tend to just not have that situation come up. And of course, now it's easy with COVID and all. But with something like this, where it definitely would behoove me to actually be prepared in advance of the stream and get everything ready and make sure as much as I can that that would be better. And I think it's just one of those things where I just gotta learn how to deal with a situation that I'm not a super fan of, but I'm even less of a fan of the other situation where the last minute panicking and everything. And I think that is probably the answer for that. The other thing I brought up earlier was trying to develop an audience. And one of the questions I ask myself frequently when I'm feeling frustrated and everything with whatever's going on is, am I doing everything possible to prevent this situation? And a large part of the time, the answer is no. And in a way, that really helps me feel better because I have control at that point. There's still more I could do without overextending myself, of course, but there's more I could do to make the situation better. And that for me makes me feel better. I like that. I don't like being in situations where there's nothing I can do or it's all in someone else's hands. That doesn't make me feel good at all. But if it's a situation that in some way I can have more control over, then to me, that's a good thing. That means that I can continue to do a few things here and there to help improve the situation. And for the instance of getting an audience for, say, like Colourisma, um, there's like so many like simple things that I could be doing. And I like analyzing my own behavior and kind of understanding why I am or am not doing something in order to help improve like just kind of everything. Just kind of sit there and okay, if I know I need to be doing this and I'm not doing it, why is it? And think about it and discuss it with myself and just kind of figure out the game plan from there. And one of the things that I need to do that I've said I was going to do and then hadn't gotten around to is to like just message people for interviews because I love doing interviews. And in a way, it kind of creates a less chaotic circumstance because the interviews almost always go well as far as technology wise. And I have a tiny bit more of a structure to those than I do for this. So it feels less chaotic in my opinion. The other thing is that depending on who I interview, I could start developing an audience, having people come in and join us from their audience. So all that kind of thing is good and stuff I need to be doing. And I just need to really focus and make some time for it. I am trying also to make a little bit more synergy between, say, like my actual, not actual, but my main project and then what I would consider Colourisma to be as like a side project more. And if I just kind of built them in together, check out different examples of people doing what I want to do, and then see how they kind of melded them together. And every example I can think of definitely has those two things working together. And it's definitely something I need to kind of low key copy because there's no need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to think and pay attention to the people doing what I want to do and just kind of have like the same kind of posting habits and just kind of see what they're doing that works and then do that as well. There's so many people I look up to, and part of it is not necessarily that their lives are perfect and they have it all together and everything, but they are definitely working in such a way that works with their abilities. They might be slightly overextending themselves in some cases, but they also get results. So those are the things I need to pay attention to. For instance, I heard one person and they were talking about their schedule, and the non-negotiables were the fact that they were going to have a video out every single week and an Instagram post out every single week. And I thought about that and I was like, I always have those as negotiables. I always think, oh, those, if I get to it, or it'll be okay because nobody will say anything if I don't get to it. It'll be fine. And maybe I need to change that mentality. Maybe that's a small thing I could change about what I consider to have out there that will make a bigger impact. So all those kind of things I think help when you're talking about what kind of things you can do to break old habits. I am also focusing on my main project here, the Golden Troop. I considered just focusing on that for a bit, and then I realized I don't know that that would help, because I definitely did that for a number of years. I just focused on the Golden Troop as far as like the main thing. And it's not that I want to have 50 million projects that I can't really get all done. But I just feel like I could work a little bit more and get a little bit more done, and potentially that would help. I have to do something different. That's the thing. You have to have different things happen in order to see different things happen. You can't just do the same exact thing you've always been doing and then go, gee, why is the same exact thing that I've always been doing the same, the thing that always happens? It's kind of self-evident there. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I am kind of doing a stream of conscious style. I had more planned for like ideas on what to talk about, but then the technology thing totally threw me for a loop. So I'm a little disheveled now because of it. Hence why I should probably do more notes and stuff. But yeah, if you all have like productivity notes, if you have any kind of things that you've been doing this year that you either find were helpful or actually not helpful, because that could be just as helpful actually to know what isn't working, then let me know too, because I feel like I always want to learn from other people, and I actually enjoy learning from other people's mistakes, so I don't have to make them. I tend to end up making them anyway, just because that's how life rolls. But if I can try to prevent them, then I at least try. But yeah, so trying to get this line to go right, and it just isn't doing what I want. I do enjoy the drawing directly on the screen. I think I might have talked about this in the last one. I skipped a week because I was frustrated, so so I can't remember exactly what happened in the last stream, but this has been really helping me. Ah, yes, that actually is something I wanted to talk about, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Christy. Um, Biggest problem about building good habits is that I don't enjoy routine. Um, yes, I don't like repetition, and I resist it as well. I personally find, I won't speak for anyone else, but I personally am probably ADHD, undiagnosed, now at 36. So I am mostly just trying to like deal with what I can deal with. And part of that for me is really acknowledging and focusing on finding things that are related to that, potentially related to that potential diagnosis. None of this is doctor verified, all just theory, but it's theory based on what I've been observing and what I've been learning about. And one of the things that I've heard of and seen from people with ADHD is that routines are hard. And the only kind of routines I've been able to manage are naturally occurring ones. And that way, I mean, I do actually have the same routine every morning. I wake up, I sit in bed for an hour on my phone. Around an hour, I just naturally eventually want to get up, generally go to the restroom, but also to eat. So then I make my breakfast, which is almost the same as every day. And then I make my coffee, I sit down, I watch a TV episode thing. Lately I've been binging The Great British Bake Off, but I'm on the last episode, so what are we gonna do? Um, and then it gets murky, right? Like as soon as like the biological needs are fulfilled, then it's like, well, I don't have to do anything. And I kind of find myself not really understanding where the time goes from when I wake up and eat, and then eventually I'm like, oh, hungry again, time for dinner, and then I do the same routine with dinner. So around food, my routine is very like there. It's very, I understand it. I can stick to it. But then as soon as like I don't, I don't need to do anything that relates to like biology speaking, I kind of tend to go toward like the easiest thing. So if that's lying in bed and playing chess for 4 hours, or I didn't do that yesterday at all. Or if it is, sometimes the external circumstances also dictate how much or what I do. For instance, a lot of the time, well, I didn't have propane yesterday, so it got cold. My little electric heater can only keep up so much, so it was like 61 inside, and so I was so cold that like drawing didn't really, like when you're in a cold atmosphere, you don't really feel like drawing because like your little fingies are cold and everything. Um, so I kind of just laid in bed because that was more comfortable. So it's like it's also like a lot of external things that are dictating what I'm doing. So maybe a way to work around that would be to make a biological need, tie that into a like a quote unquote productive need. Um, I'm not one of those people who like I have to be productive at all times and never stop. Um, but I do think it's important to get what, if you want to do something and you don't have any kind of like mental reason not to, as far as like being in severe depression, um, or even if you have a physical reason, like if you're really sick, then I feel like you have to work with your own biology and your own needs to see if there's something you can tie in with doing that. I have in the past tried a treat reward system, food-based reward system, where it's like, oh, I'll get a panel done and then I will uh, get a snack, and I only can get the snack once I get this thing done. And that didn't really last very long because I didn't always want a snack. Um, but I did find that in my current obsession with chess at the moment, um, I was doing that a little yesterday, where I was working on the base sketches for this comic page, and I was like, nope, I get to play a game of chess once I finish this sketch. And sometimes I got to a stopping point where I wasn't really great at finishing the sketch, but I got to a stopping point where it's like, well, I don't know what to do next, so I'm just going to take this break to think about it or not think about it, and that seemed to help a little bit. Um, but yeah, so I'm going to read what y'all had been talking about here. Oh yeah, working out is such a no deal for me. I have the physicality I need to be able to do things I need to do, and that is it. If I want to do more, well, I'm gonna basically have to wait till COVID is over because I want to do horse riding, and I don't want to do that until like I get vaccinated. So uh, once I start that up, I will become more physical again. But if I can't tie doing physical work and exercise to something I enjoy even more, then I won't do it. It just will not happen. I won't even pretend. I don't even like it. For me personally, I do not get the endorphin thing at all. So it doesn't work at all. Like that whole like, oh, just keep trying. I actually did that couch to 5K thing a number of years ago, and my family actually remarked on the fact that like I've never seen someone who didn't improve, who couldn't improve. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's amazing. Like it's astounding that this doesn't work. Like everyone else I talked to, like in different like levels of fitness than I was, could see improvement, but I could not. Like I never got the runner's high. It never, I was out there running for 45 minutes one day and all I felt was tired. Like the people who do get it, like just imagine the same thing you're doing, but with no benefit whatsoever. I guarantee you would not do it. But yeah. Ah, yes, the old dopamine hit. That is something I am learning with ADHD as well, is uh, everything, because of the lack of dopamine that naturally occurs, um, in a like consistent, I mean, I don't know how it works for neurotypicals, but I know there's definitely a lack thereof in ADHD brains. And so that is why the quick switching and the constant little social media um, things, or notifications things, is so tangibly fascinating and forever interesting. I remember thinking sometime in 2015 or 16 or so, and how I've had email since 1997, and that little notification to that allows me to know when I got an email never got old, ever. Not once. Like when I saw a little red badge with a number one on it, oh my God. Like just getting the badge was a dopamine hit. And now I've learned to like restrict that in a way, and break that down. So I only get those notifications when it actually matters. Um, I do have it for my chess game, but that's just because I'm really obsessed with it. But I will be really obsessed with it for about the next 2 weeks, and then I'll probably stop playing for another 2 years. But yeah, so that's definitely something to take into account and to work towards and understand when you're building habits, that a lot of it for neuroatypical people is based around uh, needing to get a little dopamine hit, because I don't think I haven't heard a lot. I'm starting to come around to the idea that no one is neurotypical, because I haven't really heard anyone talk about what typically happens in a brain. Because everyone I know gets bored. I don't know. I have a theory about that, but not getting into unsound scientific theories here. Um, it's definitely something to be said that uh, this constant hunt for dopamine is very all consuming, and we shouldn't try to ignore that, because it's like a measure of biology. It's like trying to ignore having to use the restroom. You can do that for a little bit, maybe even a long time, but there's going to be a point at which it's gonna fail and it's not going to be fun. um, let's see, reading more comments. Yeah. And it's definitely hard to create routines when things keep knocking you down or off that schedule. Yep. Yeah, that is a good point, Greg. That's really good to acknowledge too. A challenge trying to keep curiosity in long-term goals, and that's actually something I do with my comic. Is I actually don't plan ahead a ton, a super ton. Um, and that is to keep my curiosity in the comic and what happens, because I don't have it all planned out. If I had it planned out, I wouldn't do it. That sounds kind of weird. And some people, maybe having it all planned out would make it so you'd absolutely want to do it. But for me, I knew even getting started with this, that if I had it all planned out, in some part of my brain, um, it would say, okay, well, that project's done. And I would lose all motivation to work on it. And in that way, I knew I had to leave it open. I also find it's really fun to either if I back myself into a corner story-wise or something, um, I like the challenge of sitting around and thinking about, okay, how to improve this, how to make it better, how to fix this or interpret this better in such a way that's less confusing, like it makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to other people. Um, so all of that keeps me curious. And if you can take that into your habits that you're trying to develop and keep the curiosity there, I think that would be a definitely great idea. Oh yeah, that's a good point too. Um, Mitra says that she gets like that runner's high thing, but through dancing and not through running. I love horses. I love all the things that I've done with horses in the past, and I acknowledged to myself that I actually never got the runner's high, even through doing things that I like. What the thing was for me was that even though I was tired, I just liked horses so much that it didn't bother me. I don't think that's the same thing as runner's high. I think that's a different thing that happens. I think that's like the endorphins. I don't know, maybe I'm analyzing it too much, but for me, I never got the endorphins through physical exercise because I would be at the end of a ride and I'd be super tired. And normally, under normal circumstances, if I was just doing a project around the house or having to do a lot of physical exercise for what I would call no good reason, used air quotes there, then I would be annoyed by being that tired and I would just like seek whatever I could to like feel better. But with horses, I could like do the cool down lap and untack them and brush them out and all that. Even though I was super tired, the horse is the thing that like kept me from feeling like annoyed by how tired I was. So I don't know if that's just nitpicking or if that maybe that is a runner's high. I just don't know. But for me, I could definitely tell a difference between there was no internal stimulation from the physicality I was doing, but there was from my emotional connection with the horse. Yeah, I was just reading another comment. I feel the same way, Christy. I only want to be in shape enough to do the things I want to do and no more. I don't care any more than that. Like for you said it was hiking. For me, it's like once I get to riding again, I want to be able to ride and do the things I want to do there, which I probably will end up getting into a lot better shape because I want to do polo cross, which is extremely, depending on how far I get up into it, I would like to be World Cup level at some point, which I know is quite the lofty goal given I haven't actually played a single game yet. But um, that's the point of having the goals. But that goal, that long term goal, and that my emotional connection with the horses and why I like doing that activity uh, would definitely sustain me long term to wanting to get to that lofty goal. That's another good point too, Greg, is that maybe with running on like the hard ground or whatnot is too exhaustive for your body. But if you can like reduce the impact, maybe going through like a bike or, treadmill situation, whatever helps reduce impact for you, maybe then you could like hit that goal. And for other people listening, that could work too. Yeah, for the point of being tired, like working out to the point of tired, so you're tired enough to like rest in the evening. What I find is that like for me, the phone, this could just be like, oh, it doesn't affect me the same way as everyone else. But for what I've found is that it doesn't matter if I have a phone or not. If I'm not hitting the dopamine hit like over and over again, then it's kind of no point. Like I could sit there and have my eyes closed and think about a bunch of things that are probably, because my mind tends to go to the annoying things, would probably rile me up and annoy me. Or in a way, the phone is like a depending on what I'm looking at, of course, but is kind of a distraction from all that. And pure like dopamine, like as long as it's good things that I'm looking at and not things I'm getting riled up or annoyed at from that side of things, then I'm just hitting the dopamine. And once all the things are checked that I can check and I'm tired of checking them, the next dopamine hit is actually falling asleep. And that's when I actually decide, like, oh yeah, falling asleep is the next best dopamine hit. Then I can go to bed. That's what I found over like the past couple of months. I've been thinking about this, and that's definitely true. Like once I'm done checking all the things and I'm done checking even though I've already checked, typically that's the point where I'm like, nope, now the next thing that will make me feel the best is actually going to sleep, and that's when I can go to bed. And sometimes that's why I don't go to bed until 6 a.m. because I don't, sleeping isn't the next thing until that point. You know, it doesn't give me any kind of like dopamine to try to go to sleep at that point. It's very weird. It's something I'm like thinking about, and this is the first time verbalizing it, but yeah. So that's my non-scientific theory on how that works for me anyway. Because the light doesn't bother me. Like once I'm done checking everything, it doesn't bother me to like at all to then go to sleep. Like it's not like the light is bothering, because if I would just stay up, that's the thing. I've tried to put my phone away and all I do is I just like, I'm awake but with my eyes closed, and that just feels so much more annoying to me than if I just were on my phone looking at stuff. Like at least then I feel like some kind of productivity, or at least I'm being interested in something, rather than just sitting there being bored and tired. But yeah, so I guess to wrap up, we're at the kind of ending point here. I think it's important to acknowledge the bad habits that you may have, and instead of just being like, stop doing that, I won't do that anymore, analyze why you're doing those things and reprioritize. It's like not necessarily changing the habit so much as reprioritizing, because sometimes it's not even necessarily that you're not doing something, it's that you're not doing it in the order that is the most beneficial for you. So consider those things. And as well, I think it's important to constantly be flexible in the schedule that you did create for yourself. And if it's not working, then to just acknowledge that. Acknowledge the fact that it's not working. The schedule wasn't, not that it's a bad idea, but it was like the too idealized version and not realistic enough. And so consider that, take that into account when you're working on those kind of things. And then also don't consider yourself a failure if you do actually change your schedule to be more accommodating for reality. I think too many people feel like, oh, it's only 3 weeks in and I'm rewriting the rules and I'm failing because I'm changing up, you know, the resolutions now. Don't worry about that. I don't think it's all that important to stick to unrealistic goals. I don't think that's better than rewriting the goals to be more realistic, and then you can actually achieve those things throughout the whole entire year. I think that's a better series of events than to have unrealistic goals, stop them 3 weeks in, and then say whatever and just do the same thing you've been doing for the next year. I don't think that's super good. You know, that's a good point, Mitra. Checking the social medias might be a form of stimming. I didn't think about that, but that could be the case. Um, and then as far as that goes, if you're still struggling, I really would do a hard sit down and think about like, okay, these are the goals I want. Why do I want these goals? And what is like the resistance that's stopping me from achieving them? And you might end up finding out through thinking about it and really discussing it with yourself that I actually don't want to do this thing. I just thought I did, or someone else said I should, or, it's coming from some external stimuli and not from within. And a lot of the times, external stimuli acting on you is never going to be as motivating as internal stimuli coming from you. So I feel like you just got to really think about why I want to do this. Is it coming from within? And then I think you'll find ways to get it done. Especially if you create realistic goals for yourself and, just acknowledge that it might change, but be okay with that change as well. So, that's effectively, I think, everything I think I can think of about breaking old habits. I hope y'all enjoyed the show today. I'm sorry it was so chaotic at the beginning. I will attempt to prevent that chaos in the future. We'll see what I could do. Maybe I'll have a weird setup where I have multiple phones or something. Instead of using my computer, I'll just work around that issue. So I thank you so much for joining me. I am going to keep doing Colourisma because I really do believe in the mission and working to help artists with like, especially the emotional side of things. I think there's plenty of tutorials and things out there for working on skill levels, but I don't think there's a lot out there for working through this, the real visceral stuff that prevents you from creating or stops you from realizing what your true passion in that creation is. And that's something I want to continue working on. And also uplifting voices that aren't uplifted enough. That's definitely a mission in all of Colourisma. So I thank you so much for joining. If you are interested or able, you can check out patreon.com/Colourisma. That's a little that is a way that I can give back to the community and continue creating this project. And if you can't or don't want to mess with that right now, liking and sharing the posts and stuff, trying to get a bigger audience for the show. If you can do that, that would be awesome. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see y'all next week.